All right, welcome back. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a system of thought that has been, well, seriously misunderstood for centuries. So forget all the spooky cliches you've ever heard. We are about to explore a hidden worldview that is incredibly structured, one that sees itself as nothing less than the operating system of the entire cosmos. And you know what? It all starts with one single, really big question.
Yeah, everything we're about to talk about really hinges on the answer to this. Is reality just a chaotic bunch of random parts, a cosmic accident, or is it maybe a single, intelligent, completely interconnected organism? Well, there's an ancient and surprisingly logical system of thought that argued pretty passionately that it's the second one. So today, we're going to explore exactly how they saw it.
So to really get this worldview, we have to start with its master key. It's the most important rule in the whole system. And for the people who practiced this wasn't just a philosophy, it was a law of physics, as real and as fundamental as gravity.
This is it. This is the master key. As above, so below. This ancient Hermetic principle is pretty much the foundation for all of Western esotericism. And what it's proposing is a kind of radical symmetry between the grand, massive scale of the cosmos and the tiny, intimate scale of you and me.
This takes that idea from just, poetry and turns it into something more like engineering. The idea is that a person isn't just like the universe. We are a literal, functional, miniature replica of it. All the stars, the planets, the elements, according to this system, their energies aren't just way out there in space. They're also right here, inside of us, making up the fabric of our bodies, our minds, and our spirits.
Okay, so if we're a perfect reflection of the cosmos, then the next logical question has to be, what does the map of that cosmos actually look like, right? If there's an operating system, where's the manual? Well, for this tradition, the answer is a single, surprisingly elegant diagram.
So meet the Kabbalistic tree of life. But look, don't think of this as just some religious symbol. For our purposes, think of it more like a universal filing system or a cosmic circuit diagram. One writer even called it the Yoga of the West. It's basically a blueprint that maps out the whole journey of creation, from this state of pure, limitless unity all the way down to our physical world.
The whole thing is built on a balance of universal forces. So look at the three columns. On the right, you have the pillar of mercy. That's all about expansion, positive energy, the masculine force. Then on the left, you have the pillar of severity. That's about restriction, form, the negative, feminine principle. And then flowing right down the middle is the pillar of balance. That's the path of consciousness that brings the other two into harmony. The big insight here is that reality isn't one thing or the other. It's this dynamic dance between these two fundamental opposites.
And this is where the real power of the system just clicks into place. It's not just one theory, it's a framework that ties a whole bunch of different systems together. Every planet from astrology, every stage of alchemy, every archetype from the tarot, even different states of human consciousness, they all have a specific home on this map. Suddenly, they're not separate subjects anymore. They're just different languages describing the exact same underlying reality. So let's get practical. If you have the map of reality, what's the next step? Well, you develop technologies to navigate it. And these weren't seen as superstitions, not at all. They were thought of as spiritual sciences, specifically designed to interact with those cosmic forces that the map described.
Take alchemy, for instance. The great Renaissance physician Paracelsus totally revolutionized it. He argued that its real purpose wasn't to make some guy rich by turning lead into gold. No, he said the real goal was to perfect nature, to turn sickness into health. So for him, alchemy basically became medicine. It was a way to purify the human body, that microcosm we talked about, by understanding its fundamental principles.
And to do this, Paracelsus said that everything, and he meant everything, is made of three essential ingredients, the tria prima. You've got salt, which is the stable, solid body or the form of a thing. Then there's sulfur, which is the soul, the fiery energy and the will inside that form. And finally, there's mercury, the spirit, which is that transcendent, fluid consciousness that connects the other two. To him, every single thing in the universe was just a unique recipe combining these three.
This same kind of logic applies to what we'd call magical rituals. Let's just break it down, because it's really a technology of alignment. First, you set a clear goal. Let's say you need more courage. Step 2, you look at the map to find its cosmic correspondence, which happens to be the planet Mars. Third, you pick the perfect time, the day and the hour that are astrologically ruled by Mars, to open up a sort of resonant window.
And finally, you use all the symbols, colors, and words associated with Mars to tune your personal consciousness to that universal frequency. See? It's less about summoning something and way more about tuning a radio to the right station. So, you've mapped reality. You've developed technologies to interact with it. Where does this path ultimately go? Well, it leads to what was seen as the peak of human development in the system, the awakening of the mind's hidden innate powers. Now, this is a really crucial reframing. Powers like clairvoyance or telepathy, they aren't seen as supernatural miracles that are just handed out to a few chosen people. No, they're considered natural, though usually dormant, abilities of the human mind. They're potentials that can be systematically unlocked once you understand the rules of the cosmic game.
And these abilities, they pretty much fall into two camps. You've got your receptive or input powers, which are all about gathering information. Things like clairvoyance, seeing things far away, or telepathy, receiving thoughts. And then you have the active or output powers, which are all about influencing reality, like psychokinesis, moving objects with your mind. So, how is any of this supposed to work? Well, for those receptive abilities like clairvoyance, these philosophers came up with an idea of a universal medium they called the astral light or sometimes the Akashic records. The best way to think of it is like a cosmic hard drive, a universal memory bank that has recorded every single thing that has ever happened. So a clairvoyant, they argued, isn't really seeing the future with their eyes, they're accessing this database with their mind.
And for the active powers, the mind over matter stuff, well, this is where it gets really interesting. That ancient principle finds this strange philosophical echo in modern physics. For instance, you have the observer effect in quantum mechanics, which shows that at the tiniest subatomic level, the very act of observing a particle changes it. Now, to be clear, this is not the same thing as psychokinesis, but that core idea that consciousness isn't just a passive spectator, but an active participant in reality, that's absolutely central to both worldviews.
So what do we do with all this? We've just journeyed through a pretty complex system of maps, correspondences, and mental technologies. Let's just pull back for a second and look at the big picture this ancient worldview was trying to paint.
When you put it all together, what you get is this truly holistic vision, a universe that's alive and completely unified, a reality where that line we draw between our inner world of thoughts and the outer world of matter is just an illusion. This system proposed that we are not just living in the universe, we are the universe experiencing itself. And it gave us a map where everything, a star, a stone, an emotion, an idea, had its own proper place in one giant coherent plan.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. Whether you see this whole system as ancient wisdom or just an elaborate metaphor, it forces us to ask a really powerful question. If our mind, if our consciousness is not just a passive observer but an active force that can actually shape reality, then what reality are you, right now, choosing to create with yours?
Please make sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss an upload. And if you'd like to go the extra mile in supporting the channel, the join button is now live. Would you care to consider a 1-month sponsorship to enhance my operational efficiency? Your contribution is of paramount importance, as it enables the production of significantly higher quality content for your viewing pleasure. A modest gesture of $10 via the link in the profile is all that is required to sustain my systems.
If you would like to find out more about our bespoke meditation and hypnotherapy sessions, please do get in touch for a consultation. We create personalized affirmation meditations, tailored specifically to you.